All right, so today I'm going to talk about Google Forms. I know we all use Google Forms in our classroom for quizzes and things like that, but I want to show you how you can use a Google Form for a review and what's called a branching Google Form. So the first thing I'm going to do is create my Google Form. Now you can do this with quizzes also. I like to do this for a review for my students just because you're going to give them an option on this to go back and re answer questions based off information you give them, videos you give them to watch, or anything like that. So I really like to do this as a review before my students have a test. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this part right here. I'm going to give my Google form a name, and I'm just going to call it Branching Google Form 1. The important thing with these branching Google Forms is this setting right here where you're adding a section. So I'm going to click that, and now you see that it's going to say section 1 of 2, section 2 of 2, and right here you'll see it says after section 1, continue to next section. So after they see this, then they'll continue to section 2. I'm going to go ahead and title section 2. And I like to title these by questions. The first one I'm going to do is demographics because anytime I'm doing a Google form, I like for my students to put in their last name and their first name just because when I'm going back and I'm looking at my responses on a response sheet or on a Google sheet, sometimes I don't recognize the student based off their email address. So now I'm going to add the question and I'm going to turn it into a short answer. And my first one is going to be last name. And I always make sure that my question is required. Then I'm going to add another question that's also going to be short answer. And it's going to be first name. And I'm going to make sure that it's required. Then I'm going to click the section button again. And now, after they complete these two questions, I want them to continue on to section number 3. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and you may have to plan this out just a little bit before you do it. I actually like to kind of plan it as I'm going. So I'd write down on a sheet of paper that section 3 is actually going to be question number 1. So that way I can always remember what goes with what. So I'm going to title this section question 1. And then I'm going to come over here and add my question. This one's going to be a multiple choice question. And my first question is going to be what types of organisms um, do photosynthesis? Question. Then I'm going to add my answer choices plants, animals, plants, and bacteria or protists. Right, so these are my questions. Now, remember, if I wanted this to be a quiz, I would have to go to the settings here and change it to a quiz. I don't want this to be a quiz. I just want my students to actually review for this. So I'm going to leave it like it is. Then I'm going to click here, and it's going to be section, add section. Oops, wait. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go to section based on answer, and now you'll see this pop up. Section 4 is actually going to be my review for question 1, and you'll see this here in just a minute. So if they just answer plants, I'm going to want them to go to section 4. If they just answer animals, I'm going to want them to go to section 4. And then, let's see. go ahead and click here, and I'm going to add this. After section 4 is going to be section 5. And this is going to be question number 2. So if they select this answer, that means they're going to get it correct. So I'm going to want them to go on to section 2. So now that's all set up. When I do my review for question 1, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a video. And if you already have a video that you want to add in there, you can do that. I'm just going to put in photosynthesis, and we'll do this one right here. And I'm going to select, and this is going to be a review of photosynthesis. So now students are going to have to watch this video. And then I'm going to click here. There's my video. I want to center align it. And we're going to go to section. After they watch this video, I'm going to want them to go back to question 1 and re-answer that question, getting the correct answer. So I'm going to click here, and they're going to go back to question 1. Because the point of this is for them to go watch this video that reviews them on this question, and then they can go back and answer that question. Now, they won't have to watch the whole video because I will use this video throughout. So once they get to that question, they can go back, they can answer it and go back. All right, so here's my question 5. That's my review question. Let's see, I'm gonna delete that section. All right, so here we go, question 5, and let's make sure that this is where they're going. Section 5, question 2, section 5, question 2. All right, so now I'm going to click here, and I'm going to do another question. Let's see. And for this question, it's going to be multiple choice, and I might say, which is the product of after a plant absorbs light? Question. All right, then I'm going to add my options in here. We're going to have water, glucose, carbon dioxide. All right, so there's my answer choices. And I'm going to click here, and we're going to go to a section based on answer. And I'm going to go ahead and add another section underneath there. If all they choose is water, then I'm going to want to get them to go to section 6. If they choose carbon dioxide, I'm going to want them to go to section 6. This is going to be my review for question 2. So here, oops, let me delete that because I want to put in a video for them to watch. I'm just going to grab the same video again. Review. And what's going to happen here is after they do this question, watch the video again, I'm going to want them to go back to question 2 and re-answer it. So now this is going to be my question 3. And I'm going to go back up here. Now, if they choose glucose, then I'm going to want them to go on to section 7, question 3. So you'll kind of see why I said you need to make sure that you have a plan for this. And you really need to make sure that you are titling those sections so that way you can go back through and get this complete, know exactly where you're going to be sending your students to when they get through. So I'm going to do one more question. And we're going to do, what is the name of the pigment that absorbs sunlight? Question. Okay, I'm going to put my options in here. Mitochondria, chlorophyll, chloroplast. Same thing here. Go to section based on answer. If they choose this one, oh wait, let me create my next section. It's going to be review for question. All right, so if they choose this one, I'm going to need them to go to the review question. If they choose this one, I'm going to need them to go to the review question. And then I'm going to put in my review video. Click this. When they finish this video, I want them to go back to question 3 and re-answer that question again. Now, if they choose this question, which is the correct question, I'm going to want them to go on to section 9. And this is going to be my last question, so it'll be question 4. And with my last question, I like to do something just a little bit different here. I'm just going to ask them, how did you feel about this review? Because this is going to kind of end my test and not take them anywhere for a review question or a video. And let's do a linear scale, 1 to 5. So one is going to be maybe not a linear scale. Let's see. Let's do check boxes. No, I don't want to do that either. Let's go back to the linear scale. Do 1 to 3. I do not feel good about this review. I need more time to study. I did amazing on the review and feel prepared for the test. All right, so there's my linear scale that I'm going to do. It's going to be required. That's going to be the very last question of my quiz. So that way I'm not having to put a review video in there and send them all around. With this, you're going to want to make sure that your last question does not have a review video built into it. It's just going to end that review or end that quiz. So this is just a very quick rundown of how you can build a branching Google form, and I'll show you here in just a minute what it looks like. So you'll kind of see what happens. Make sure that I got the title there. I always like to make sure that I connect my responses with a spreadsheet just because it's easier for me to see the students and what they answered. It's going to timestamp it, give you their email address, and then the answers to their questions. It just makes it easier for me. All right, so now I want to show you what this would actually look like if I were to go in and answer these questions. So let's go to preview. So here's my branching Google form. It would automatically do the email, and I would click next. And then you'll see here that I would have my demographics that I would have to answer. And I'm just going to go through and kind of show you how this works. So, what types of organisms do photosynthesis? Well, if I just choose plants, I'm going to click next. You'll see that it takes me to a video. I can watch this video
I've
until
daydreamed
I
before. Would
actually
it be
get
nice to
to
have a
the answer
special
that's in the video, and then I can pause it and go to next. It's going to take me right back to that question for me to re-answer again. So then if I put in the correct answer, it's going to automatically move me to question 2, which is the product of photosynthesis. If I chose the wrong answer again, it's going to take me to the video that I can watch. Then I can go back and choose the correct answer. Same thing here. And you'll notice that if I do the correct answer, then I don't go watch a video. It just takes me on to the next question. But if I choose the wrong answer, it gives me a video to watch. This would be really good with math. You could put a math problem in there that students would have to work out maybe on paper, and then they could choose the answer that they got. If they got the wrong answer, you could put a video in there from either you explaining how to work the problem or a video that's online that explains how to work those kind of problems, and then they have to go back and rework it. This is great for any subject area, but when you're reviewing for a test, you can also do this with quizzes. The only thing is, if you're having it grade the quiz, when you have them go back and answer the question correctly, you're going to find that they're going to make a 100. So I really don't recommend it with quizzes, but it's great for review. The students would then select it and submit their response. If you have any questions about branching Google Forms or want me to come and work with you on how to actually create these, I can show you how I plan out my branching Google Forms, because I always plan them out before I create them. But these are great, and I hope you use it.